And I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Could we have the roll call, please?
Bill Trepanier is excused. Mark Helwig. Grant Gerber.
Yes.
Andy Alvarado. Mike Wohler. Tweed Schuman. Doug Motek. Bruce Paquette. Katie Bellinger. Stephanie Thomas Schmidt. John Yackel. Monica Isham. Elaine Smith.
Here.
Marshall Savitsky.
Here.
Julia Lyons. She is here. Kathy McCoy.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. If you join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and could we have certification of compliance with the open meeting law?
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. And then moving forward, we have the agenda, which has been set. Does anybody have anything they want to move around just for convenience sake or? Okay. Then the next section would be public comments. If there's anybody here from the public who's not on the agenda who would like to address the committee at this time? Is there anybody online? No? Okay, thank you. Minutes, we have the minutes actually from the January 10th really wasn't minutes because we didn't have a quorum, but we do have, no, it was February. Which one do you got here? Wait a minute. Yeah, January, we did have a quorum. February, we did not. So we have the minutes of January to approve.
Make a motion to approve it, Jim.
And I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the January 10th committee meeting. Is there any additions, changes? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? And I guess February 14th, there's just a little kind of type up introduction, but we don't need to approve them because technically there was no quorum and there really are no minutes. So moving on, we have New Day Advocacy Center Victim Service Coordinator. Crystal, you're with us? Thank you for coming.
And this is also my executive director.
Okay, if you would want to introduce yourself, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. This is a very intimidating room, by the way. Just so you
I'm
guys
sorry,
know.
it is. It's not, don't feel intimidated. We're really not a mean group of people. Except for on that side over there, we've got a couple that are,
So I'm Lyle Poppy. I'm the director of New Day Advocacy Center, and this is Crystal Nordby. She's our victim service coordinator, and she's going to be providing direct services to Sawyer County specifically. So we are based out of Ashland and Bayfield County. We were established in 1983. We are a victim service provider, which means that we provide services to survivors of domestic abuse, sexual assault, human trafficking, elder abuse, and child abuse. So we kind of do that in three different ways. So the first one is kind of education to the community. So that's things like going into school districts, speaking on like consent, healthy relationships, boundaries, things like that. We'll also do tabling events at different health fairs or other kind of public events. We do awareness events in the community for like Sexual Assault Awareness Month, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We come and kind of introduce ourselves to different organizations as well. Our other two aspects that we provide these services is through our shelter. So we do have a 14-bed, 7-bedroom facility in Ashland, which is open to the community at large. So it would be open to Sawyer County residents. And there we do house men, women, children, all genders, all ages. We do have an unaccompanied minor, 17 or older allowed, but anybody under 17 would have to be accompanied by their parent or guardian. Our other thing is outreach services. So that is kind of what Crystal specializes in, and that is primarily what we're going to be serving in Sawyer County. So our outreach services are kind of very wide. We pretty much do whatever we can to support a survivor. And that means we will provide education about the legal and criminal justice system. We'll provide medical advocacy, personal advocacy, kind of the individual counseling. We do provide emergency financial assistance as well. So that could be transportation costs, cell phones, paying back utilities, bills, things like that. Let's see, what else do we pay for? Gas, cell phones, security needs, rent. So if people need security cameras, personal alarms, new locks on their doors, things like that, we can help with all those kinds of things. We also provide assistance with completing restraining orders. We will accompany survivors to court, explain all those processes. What am I missing? We do a lot of different things. I know a lot of the things are listed in our brochure. I always draw a blank when I'm speaking. Let's see. We do have a youth and family coordinator who does specialize in giving those kind of protective parenting techniques, things like that. We do have support groups, culturally specific services as well. And we work with self-sufficiency as well. So kind of building those life skills. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. I didn't know if you guys had any questions or any specific needs in the community you want to talk about. Lyle, L-Y-L-E, Poppy, P-O-P-P-E.
So have you been out in the community already here?
Yes, Crystal
Okay.
has been out in the community making some connections. We've met with some of you guys one-on-one already.
Oh, great.
We do have a outreach office here in Hayward. It's on Railroad Street. It's, I don't know, oh, I do have the address. It's on our brochure as well. So it's 15581 Railroad Street. You might see the MetaQuest sign is there. We're right in that building.
Oh, okay.
15581 Railroad Street.
Have you had an opportunity to go into any of the schools here in Sawyer?
No, not yet.
What schools have you visited?
We've gone into Ashland, Bayfield County. We've gone into Washburn, Drummond,
Okay.
quite a few different ones. It kind of is by invite. We kind of make those connections. Some we go into every year. Sometimes when specific needs arise, they'll contact us and we'll come in and talk about specific topics. It just depends.
Okay, cool. We have a deputy who is doing whatever the new version of the DARE program is in winter in Hayward School. I think maybe she goes to Altheo too. I'm not 100% sure. But I think that would be a good connection for you. Maybe you can get into some of our Sawyer County schools. I think, having those conversations at a young age, it makes you so much more aware of, how to perceive things as an adult. And so that's a huge opportunity. I can try to get you in contact.
Great, yeah. Getting into this is very important. Yeah, we try to get into them at least once a year, sometimes more than that. Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month is usually a big month for us going into the schools, but we'll go anytime. We do kind of try to focus on age-appropriate things.
Mhm.
If schools sometimes have concerns, we kind of stick with just like consent and healthy boundaries.
Mhm.
We don't dig into anything too deep unless there's a specific need and that request is made.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. I was wondering, in your outreach in the Hayward area, were you able to get a number of DV cases that are filed in Sawyer County Court for any time period?
Don't have that.
Not an accurate number, no.
Okay. So is that something that you're not getting from the counties or?
It's something that I haven't looked into.
Okay. I'm asking because that's something that I would like to get, and I can talk to Judge Isham about that. I'm wondering how I can get a count of the number of DV cases that are filed in Sawyer County. And of that number, I'd like to know how many are tribal members. And I ask because we don't have very many tribal women filing for temporary restraining orders, but I know that there's domestic violence happening on the reservation, especially with the drug problem happening. And so I've been talking to one of the legal staff about creating a code for domestic violence and / stalking, because that's another behavior that occurs. And so anyway, that's why I was looking for that data, but I can talk to Judge Isham and maybe she can.
And that can be a hard number to get, especially if they're not reporting or disclosing that to anybody.
I just think if we had a tribal code, that we would see more people come to try to get some action done to protect them. Okay, thank you.
I just want to kind of expound on what Judge Isham was saying, that as far as getting into the schools, because I think it's important that the kids are aware that, you know, they have this resource out there. So it might be, I'd like to see you get into the schools in the Sawyer County area as soon as you can. Like I said, it's important that they know that it's available.
Yeah, we certainly will. Yeah, our funding and our services just started in January of this year. So we're still feeling things out, getting a understanding of the community a little better. But we will be for sure.
And I'll take some brochures if you have them for our hallway.
Julia, you think are you working with them or have you, this probably your first introduction to them? I mean.
No, Shannon, you've been connecting with Shannon Kraus and CPS, yep. So,
Right.
yep, and Youth Justice, yep. So they've already made the connections and you guys have an opening this afternoon, or you go have a grand opening
With Sherry.
with
Meeting.
with a couple people. With a couple people.
What, we're not invited? No.
I just noticed it's on my calendar, so.
Okay, well, great. And I think just to introduce some of the people here, not everybody's here unfortunately, because it would give you some idea of some of the resources. I think Grant, you also would be, if you want to introduce yourself and maybe tell him what your role, he's also a valuable person in the
Yeah, I
community.
connected with like House of Hope and Safe Place Warming House, the homeless shelter that we're trying to get started here in the area and things like that. So I sit on those boards. So yeah, I was reading your brochure here in the email. So I can give you my information too if you'd like to get in contact. Yeah.
Do you want to, Mark? I mean, as far as the county board, we have several county board members here too, which,
But there's a lot of areas.
right. And I mean, I think, and Andy will agree, the county has in terms of promoting this service, I mean, it's a free service, so definitely it's in the county's best interest to go ahead and promote it. And I think, as Judge Isham said, even within the court systems or whatever, I think, well, I should let you introduce yourself, sorry. I didn't, and also Bruce, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm Judge Isham. I'll let Bruce introduce himself, but I think that, you know, I love your program. I think that this is a great resource for the county. Any additional resources we can get, we are all over it. I'm all over it. So I appreciate you guys coming here and making these connections. And I think that this is a perfect step in the right direction. And if you have materials that you can get to us, we can keep them here. And you know, I'm all on board. I really like it. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
I really don't have to introduce myself. It'd be better.
Wonderful. And then also, I think, yeah, Marshall.
We're familiar with each other. They came to the city here, police department back in February, I think, and spoke to us all. Were you able to get in touch with the LCOPD? Or are you having a hard time with?
I haven't yet, no.
Okay. Okay.
That was
I mean-
one LCO officer.
With Zach,
Oh, that's all okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't been able to get a hold of Tim.
Was that?
Yeah, I thought I gave you a name of Diana Tunn, maybe. That's kind of like the go-to person for LCOPD, and that would be your point of contact, I think.
Although she's going on vacation, so she'll be gone for a week. So. And I'm Elaine Smith. I'm the tribal court judge from LCO.
And if you guys have any questions, just reach out. We have our number. Somebody's always there, an advocate.
So if you had somebody, you take referrals from anybody in the community, or they can just walk in, anybody can, or call and.
Yep, we
Okay.
can take referrals from anybody.
Right.
So we do have some referral forms we can send out too, but just having them call us or you calling with them, and making that connection at that time. Our Hayward, we have a Hayward specific number. That will only be in operation like 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, but then we have a 24-hour crisis line. They kind of all go to the same place. So even if you call the Hayward office, it'll probably get answered 24/7.
Okay. And is there any limit to the amount of resources you have? I mean, because it sounds like a wonderful deal. I mean, because people do get displaced and they do need a place to live that's safe and, like you said, a phone and, yes. And
So we are a nonprofit organization, so our funds are limited by our funding. We do have a lot of different pools of money to pull from. So we do have state, local, federal funding. We do fundraisers, all kinds of different things to make sure that we do have resources. So there is a possibility that we could run out of funding for specific things, especially if a lot of clients are asking for the financial assistance with like rental assistance or repairs, things like that. That pot of money could diminish towards the end of the year, but as far as our advocates and our time, that's completely free and we are always available.
wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Does anyone else have any other questions, or really appreciate you coming and kind of introducing us? And
I didn't catch your name. I'm sorry.
Crystal?
Crystal?
Yep.
Mike, I do have a question. Do you have any sort of billboards or any, anything out there that the public would know that your resources are out there?
So we don't have any billboards or anything like that. We have our brochures. We've been going around trying to make sure different referral sources would know about us.
Maybe in the newspaper?
It would be a possibility we could start to advertise in those ways.
It'd probably be even, I bet Frank would write an article.
so I was going to say, you probably can get them to write an article
Yeah.
for free, right? That
Yes,
would kind of
yes.
introduce you to the community,
Mhm.
right?
And press releases are free.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, press releases are free.
So who would that be?
Frank Zufall, I can get you, I'll get it through. If I don't get over there, I'll give it to Shannon to give you contact information.
Yeah, that'd be.
Sometimes at some meetings, yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else you'd like to say? Or like I said, we're really happy to have you come into Sawyer County.
We would just really appreciate you guys meeting with us and talking about our services. Again, our services are free, they're confidential, and we're here to be a resource, not just for survivors, but also for you guys. So we're not here to step on any toes or to blur any lines. We're just here to support survivors and whatever we can do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know. Yes. All right, so moving on, we have the dreaded bylaws. Andy, you want to tell us something about the bylaws?
We attached these last month just to put a clean copy of them in there.
Yeah.
That's as they are approved, and they do include, after the last update last year, or when was it? It was almost a year ago.
Right.
Both judges are in there, both county judges and the LCO judge are included. So there's 16 total members and 15 voting members because the chair is not voting.
They've been approved, yes, they have. Yeah, so information only. Thank you very much for doing that, Andy.
But didn't you last month want to identify voting privileges? I think that's the only reason we put that on there.
Oh, I think we did didn't we identify voting for, everybody's a voting member except for the chair.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Because we had decided that Julia was going to be a voting member, because originally the Health and Human Service position was left as just being a representative, but we did
So it's
determine
outlined
that
in
she
there?
would be a voting
Perfect.
member, right?
You're right.
Yep. Okay, let's see, 3-year renewal of Sawyer County LCO Memorandum of Understanding. Has that been presented yet?
No, and actually, until I saw it on the agenda yesterday, I didn't even realize it was up for renewal.
excuse me, I had one meeting with the sheriff and the jailer and don't know the other man's name. So I didn't get cards, and then we are going to have another meeting, but I'm trying to get an MOU kind of started, or MOA, with the sheriff's department for just 3 to 5 day stays.
Okay.
Members who are,
Did you want to, I think the sheriff did mention he had met with you.
we're going to have another meeting and we've had some changes in our legal office at the tribal
Yep.
office, so it has taken a while to get a conversation with whoever's going to
Do you want
that
to
person.
do these on a parallel track or incorporate them together, or
We're probably going to do it together.
this MOU?
Yeah.
Okay. Because when I saw it on the agenda for today, I went and found the MOU from 2021.
6.
This one that's up on the screen was signed 3 years ago and technically expired in January.
Well, we asked for whatever they had, and we were sent the one from 2006 that Gordon Thayer did when he was the chairman. And then I had a letter given to me that was kind of proposed by Attorney Tish Kiana, who works for Child Support Enforcement. But I don't have this.
I can send you this one then. There's the MOU that Tish has. There's a MOU just for child support. I'm not sure what the 2006 one is, but this one is the one between the county and LCO for the CJCC, which says that the county will budget at least 50,000 and the tribe contributes 50,000. And this amendment that was done extended the agreement into 2024 until January, and it made trying to remember what the other change was in the MOU. It had to do with including it made sure that the tribal judge position was included on the CJCC.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yep, I'll forward you this. Because my next step was going to reach out to TGB and start talking about re-upping this and, seeing, I mean, if, we'll get it out to the whole CJCC if there's anything in there that you'd like to see.
I think Attorney Dina Weldon is working on the one with me.
Okay.
So it might be a good resource to contact
Yeah,
her.
I think it might end up being two separate, because I think you're working on an MOU for the jail specifically.
And this is actually just a MOU that was when the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee
Right.
originally got set up.
Yeah.
That the tribe was putting in $50,000 and the county was putting in $50,000. And that
Sweet.
continued. That's when we first started and got Justice Point and just got rolling, in other
Yeah.
words. So hopefully that will continue because
Mhm.
it's part of the budget, right?
It is.
In
So
terms of-
if I can comment too, I was part of this, but so there are two separate agreements.
Two separate
Yep,
ones.
so there's one for child support that holds beds for civil contempt.
Well, from my understanding, unless it's in this agreement, all I saw was just a letter.
It was just a letter.
Yeah,
It was a
But,
letter signed by the sheriff
signed by Tish.
and the sheriff, yeah.
But anyway, so that's what we're working on.
Okay, it might be beneficial to maybe do an all-inclusive memorandum of understanding, but just for criminal justice purposes. I think if you have it separated like this, then it might be complicated to, I don't know what the funding, is with all of that, but it might be more complex.
We have money in our budget
Oh,
to pay
okay.
for it. So that's what we were looking at, because I was told by Attorney Kiana that they're not permitted to chip in for anything like that according to their grant, but I don't know if that's really,
Okay,
because I can't think of, because that CTAS grant, for instance, it will give you money for correctional offices and jail beds and all of that stuff. So maybe they don't have any of that type of funding. It could be.
okay.
Well, and I
We
think-
can chat later.
Right, and I think this is a separate agreement, and I think this is important that this one probably remain a standalone because it had to do with funding for the criminal justice.
That's what I was wondering,
Program,
where
right. So there
the
are two-
funding came from.
Yeah, this was way back to the original money to get seed money, in other words, to get up and running with everything.
And this
Hire
is
Justice
tribal
Point
money.
to do this. This is tribal money
Yeah.
and county money, right, to get everything. That's where we started with
Mhm.
everything. So I think it's really important. It's been a wonderful collaboration between the two organizations. to
Yeah.
continue with just the plain memorandum.
Right.
I'd like to be a part of the discussion if I can be. If Dina's working on it and Tish is involved, maybe you can.
Yeah, I invited Tish too, but we're not at that point
Okay.
yet. So I just had one conversation with Dina and, there's just been a lot
Yeah.
of stuff going on.
Yeah, and it sounds like that does need to be finalized if it was just a letter of agreement, in other words, about
Yeah.
holding beds, in other
Yeah.
words, so that would be actual agreement, right?
And sometimes on these DV cases, you have people who are committing contempt, and I don't have a resource, and so that's what I would like to have.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so
Next month, agenda item.
this, I think, Andy, right, will be on next month again, right?
Yep.
And perhaps the other agreement, if we get to that point where there's
Yeah.
one related to,
I think,
CJCC.
Right.
Yeah.
Get through it by next month
Yeah.
because we'll
I think
start talking
the-
about time together and that's.
I think the child support one is more a public safety issue. I know that that MOU would be probably then
Yeah, there's,
something that gets brought up
I
there.
think there's multiple because there's one about the beds apparently. I don't know about that one.
Okay,
But we also have a MOU between our child support, LCO and the state just for the transfer
that's
of
for
cases.
child support, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
okay, so moving on, then we'll have the jail report for February, which I think was included. Sheriff's not with us today. I guess if you have any questions, you just have to figure it out yourself. So,
The only thing I mean, I can
numbers are down.
explain a little bit. I mean, for the most part, things are unchanged, except the one noteworthy thing is they've essentially eliminated the Huber program within the jail. So instead of having people leave for Huber, they're all on electronic monitoring and staying at home. And the explanation is that we were having problems with those individuals bringing illegal things into the jail when they return from work. So we have 7 people on electronic monitoring that are eligible for Huber. I believe only one of those is actually working though.
Okay.
So where is that listed?
It's down underneath the
Underneath
well,
notes.
2/3 of the way down. It says currently on electronic monitoring.
7 and current number of working Huber's 1. And unemployment remains extremely high.
Yep, of the incarcerated, yes. I think the other thing that's starting to happen is a little bit, we're starting to see somewhat of a shift in the mix of the people in the jail, where we're having the percentage of sentenced inmates is starting to go up a little bit, which I think it'll go up more because as 2 courtrooms going, people are getting through the system quicker than they were. A lot of times before with 1 courtroom, you had people in jail that were waiting to be sentenced. And by the time they were sentenced, a good portion of their sentence was already complete. So is that?
That's very accurate.
Yeah.
I think that the numbers are a complete reflection of that. I like that this probation and the pre-sentence, I love that breakdown. I look at that mostly.
Right. What about the public defender, access to public defender? Are there enough public defenders? Oh, sorry. Are there enough public defenders to go around?
No. We share our public defender's office. How many counties do we share with? Like 3? I think we share our public defender's office on Spooner with 3 separate counties. They're all completely overworked and their caseloads are giant. And
So nothing's changed there?
yeah, I mean, we do have other attorneys available to take court appointments, but that usually only comes in if the person does not qualify for public defender. We always want them to start there because obviously the cost, but so it does still create a backlog.
I know that, I think the tribe posted their position. Have you seen it posted? Or have noticed it? Because I know it was given to HR.
I haven't seen it posted, but I did go to a TGB meeting and they had brought that up. And I think that it was something that sounds like they're willing to do. I just don't know what capacity that
Because we have the money
person would do.
in our budget, money's in the court's budget it's from a grant.
Mhm.
And so that's why I wanted to get it posted, please. So
Yeah,
We
I
can
think,
get that done.
I think something that would be extremely beneficial for the county that, for county and for the tribe, that we don't have is sort of like a legal aid or like somebody who's just there, like a help desk type of person who is just there to help you fill out the forms. They don't represent you in court, but they're, law trained.
Mhm.
And somebody who can just get you to the next step, because it's, I know from practicing in tribal court that it's like 90% are pro se at least.
Oh, yeah.
And pro se means not represented by an attorney. In our court, in Sawyer County, there are a large percentage of people also not represented by an attorney in non-criminal cases. Those are huge numbers. It would, even in criminal cases, for somebody who say is waiting for a public defender or waiting for, even if it's like a traffic, case, it would be so helpful for someone to just be available to say, well, this is the next step. This is the steps. These are the steps that you take. It would streamline their process, and it would actually probably streamline the process in court and take up less of the court's time, because so often we're resetting things because we have to tell them their first hearing, well, you missed step A, step C, step F, So it's like, well, we'll set this for 60 days from now. Hopefully you can get those completed by then. It would be so much faster if we just skipped that whole part, had somebody to help them, some sort of help desk or something like
Yeah,
that.
and I think they get pushed from like one counter to the next,
Oh,
to the
100%,
next
all the
around
time.
here because nobody has the knowledge or experience to be able to help them through the system.
Judge, where do you think, if we were able to make something like that happen, we're at a good place for someone like that to be stationed per se?
Yeah, I mean, I could think of it as something that could be somebody who moves around, something available in the tribal office, some office available here. We've got plenty of space, so that they could have meetings. If when I was in Milwaukee County in law school, there was a help desk for family law cases, and it was staffed by law students and by attorneys who are looking for pro bono hours. There's bar recognition if you take so many cases pro bono. So a lot of attorneys do want to, try to get some pro bono hours, especially if they're running their own practice. And that's a good way to do it. It would pretty much be like a volunteer type of basis unless, there was money available for somebody like that in whatever capacity.
Do you think that we'd be able to draw people that you're talking about, like, lawyers or lawyers to this area to do something like that?
It is difficult to get people here. It's difficult to get people here.
Just being that we're such a rural area.
We're remote, yeah.
I agree. It'd be
Mhm.
that'd be great.
Mhm.
Really help you guys out.
Yeah.
Making it happen is,
Do you have any connections down in Milwaukee? Like, I mean, why couldn't that be set up on a virtual?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do have here that we could take more advantage of is that the university, Alceo University has a work-based learning program where students get paid to do internships. And I take every intern that they give me. I'm always, and then I'll shuttle them around to wherever fits them. But, so that is an option. There are law classes at the university. There are students who are interested in going on to law after. And in fact, one of the public defenders, Jim McLaughlin, is the professor, an adjunct professor for some of those classes. Grant knows. And so that is an option. And then also, so from Marquette Law School, which is where I went, the internship program there is similar. They don't pay you, but they will give you credit for doing these internships. They'll give you your law school credits for doing it. So if we maybe drafted something up like a description of this type of position, and we had, I could write to the law school and have us included in their internship packet. Anybody who is interested, we could vet them and try to get them up here.
I just want to go on the record and say we have no more space for anybody. We just had to give up 2 of our offices to a couple of people who had to move from FS. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Time to expand.
Yeah, we could get someone, something like that going where they could be, virtually from the college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, UW in Madison also has a law clinic, where they have attorneys working with, or they have law students rather working with attorneys to help people like that. So
It's also a great way to get people more familiar with up
the
here.
rural area.
Yeah, and down in the Madison and Milwaukee area, law school and going from law school into legal practice is the most competitive and serious thing because everybody thinks that they have to stay in those areas. I mean, people think of up here as like the furthest place away
Oh,
you
yeah.
could possibly
We used to
think.
say nobody knows above Highway 29.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't exist.
But everybody's competing for the same 5 jobs. And so it's like, what about all of the people who don't want to compete for those jobs? What about those kids that we can try to recruit? I think we need to do a much better job of getting our what's available up here and what there is up here.
Yeah.
Send
So
them
I
some
guess the
pictures.
question is, who's doing our HR work right now? Who's our HR director? for the
Rose.
Rose? Okay. So, I mean, I don't want to throw work at Rose, but it seems like what we need is something, a description or something put
Yeah.
together, in other words, and she might be the person to do that so that we could get it out to, like you said, different universities. And I also think, the LCO College is a really good resource in terms of this. They've really stepped up and led in terms of developing the EMS program
Uh-huh.
and certification for that type of thing. So be a good partnership. But I think the first thing, you're right, is if we could get something written up that would kind of describe what we're looking for or what we want, that we could start to put out there. So I guess for your recommendation, do you think, Andy, we could take that to Rose and have her kind of put together something?
Yeah, and I'm happy to assist with that
Yeah,
also.
that would be a first step, and then maybe bring it back here if we get something in writing, and then we could kind of decide, okay, let's send it out to these different places or work with whoever. Mhm. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have connections with the Minnesota law schools, maybe this guy
Yeah.
here does, but there are some law schools even closer to us,
Right.
but they're in Minnesota.
Right. Well, and just the fact that if we can start to attract even people up here to do something like that, maybe we will attract more legal people up here in the end, like
Exactly.
you said, right?
Mhm.
So, we're attracting doctors, we're attracting everybody else.
We're
So
trying.
We'll be attracting lawyers too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, I think that'd be great, and maybe we can bring it back next month, something just kind of a little write-up of what the position or what it might look like.
What would you like?
Maybe like a legal aid,
Legal aid intern, right, or
Yeah.
something like that.
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got a notice from Judicare. They have a legal aid who's gone through all the education and licensed, and she's asking to come to appear in tribal court. So that's kind of nice
Great.
that,
Huge.
they are. And I looked at her training, and it looks like she's been to some training in the southern part of the state and now is working for Judicare. So
Very cool.
it'll be interesting. And I don't know if the university still has their legal aid class.
I
I
don't
should
know.
talk to Swager, is that his name?
Yeah, Dr. Swigger.
Talk to him about that.
Okay, so we'll talk a little more about that next month. Great ideas. Going forward, I think Becky just stepped out. I don't know if she's going to be back or not, but we can move on and do youth justice recap. I think you had a presentation, correct?
Yep. Oh, excuse me. Yes, I just have some numbers to be able to share from 2023 on a recap from YJ. One of the things that we have noted is that very few of the referrals that come in really fall in that low to low moderate risk. So when we are looking at the cases that had come in 2023, 40% were high risk. 5% were moderately high, and 31% were moderate. So with that, it just shows that more of those cases that are coming in are reaching that extreme level on what the needs are. And thus, as we look at what's been happening with our youth justice, we've been having quite a few youth being placed compared to what we used to have. So we can definitely see where we're unable to manage things inside the home now. Of the referrals that had come in, 18 of the referrals, these are ages 11 through 16. These are the serious crimes that had come through. 18 were assault and battery. 18 were disorderly conduct. 5 referrals were for criminal damage to property, and there were 2 referrals for sexual assault. So definitely seeing more of the some of those serious crimes. And then the 11 to 16-year-olds. So that is quite a high number as we go forward. As we look at it, we're also seeing gun-related crimes as well, which is newer in the last couple of years and something that we really need to be keeping our eye on. And we should be bringing these numbers also to TGB because we do see a fair number of kids from the reservation, especially with the gun charges. So we do have concerns there. Some of the things thinking about as we move forward, how do we get beyond this or get to the other side of it? And we really haven't had a good diversion program or anything that's really been proactive on getting kids into a PEP experience or something that gets them doing other things. We used to have some pretty good prevention programs in the past. So Sarah and I are looking at grants, being able to write for some grants, hopefully to put together a diversion program. And then from there, I think we really need to be looking at expanding kind of that mentorship or, that work with the youth that goes beyond the Boys and Girls Club, because it seems like they're kind of topping out at that middle school age. And then after that, they're kind of losing ground. And where do we go from there? So.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that we just had a couple grants sent in, I think it was yesterday. So we hope to get funded for juvenile healing to wellness court. And because we're seeing a lot of, vaping and disorderly
Yes.
conduct and those
Yes.
kind of things on the reservation. But we're also going to increase our security and our soundproofing in our courtroom. And when we had the walkthrough, I think it was in September by DOJ, she pointed out that she would be able to fund us if we applied for it to have that extra security. So we're looking at bulletproof glass and doors and adding soundproofing, which wasn't added the first time around, to those offices that share a wall with the courtroom. And we're pretty sure we're going to get that. So hopefully we're going to keep our fingers crossed. So we're going to have to deal with more construction. But because I do worry about all the guns that are on the reservation. But first I've heard about children being involved with them. But I guess if the adults have them around, it
The
makes
kids
sense
are
that the
starting
children
to
will
put
have
their
access
hands
to
on
them.
them. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
So we'll keep you posted on how we move forward with any grant funding and things that come through.
Okay, thank you very much. Good information. And I assume, does some of this tie in with the truancy problem also? Or you think they're two separate issues? I mean, they're probably.
Well, yes, there is going to be some linkage, but there is separate issues. Some of the things that we're noting really with truancy is even more so that it's becoming more generational, and it's okay that the kids aren't in school, and we're just having an acceptance of this rather than even us in the community seeing kids that aren't in school and why are they not sitting in a classroom? Why are they out and about? So I think there's quite a bit more that goes into the truancy that we also would be looking at as we looked at that diversion program.
Did you say that the generation is now, the generation is more Oh, it's okay, they're not in school?
It's, yeah, it's kind of
That's the
becoming general.
mentality?
You'll hear that from, as we talk with the schools that, they're just, I didn't go to school, so it's a generational thing. Like, I didn't really go to school and I'm not so bad, so my kid doesn't need to be, those are kind of the ones that are kind of sitting out there, and we really just need to change that
Yeah,
thought
I
Definitely
concept
gotta
on
change
that.
that,
I
that
think,
mentality. That's sad.
I think it probably is a little bit more than that. I
Well,
think that
that's
it's
hard, that's like
I-
one of section.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And I think that COVID had a lot to do with it. I think that everything
Some.
going to a virtual platform had a lot to do with it. We see the same thing with appearance in court. I mean, everybody pre-COVID, you got to court and you got there in person. Now, as long as you show up on the screen, it's all right.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way that things have changed. It's changed in some ways for the better to have these virtual options, but in a lot of ways, it's made things worse. And I think that there are so many virtual schooling options that, like you said, people out in the community, I see a kid, I don't think, oh, they're skipping school. I think, well, maybe they're on online school. Maybe they're in some
Right.
alternative program. Because there are so many different options available rather than just traditional go to school every day. What I'm, we did have a truancy meeting.
Did you have another one?
We haven't. We've only
Okay.
had the one.
We need to get back.
We do. And so we're exploring other options for truancy. What I've been doing is that they'll come in for their initial appearance, their intake appearance, which comes on the citation, just like a regular traffic ticket. You get a date, you got to show up in court, right? A lot of times they don't come. They get default. It goes as a civil judgment against them that they have to pay off or at some point gets forgiven. Those are the unfortunate cases.
Mhm.
The cases where they show up, what I've been doing is I will, depending on what age they are, and a lot of the times, if it's clear that parents are the problem, because in most cases, parents are the
Yeah.
problem, then the parent also gets a citation. And in cases where the kids will show up, say they're a senior, okay, really hard group to get to convince to go to school, right? So what I've been doing is setting a hearing for the day before graduation. And I tell them, you come here, day before graduation, you show me that you've got everything in place to graduate, we'll drop the citation. Now, if it's somebody who's, let's say, a sophomore, then what I'm doing is I'm going to set you 60 days, you come in with your attendance report. 60 days again, you come in with your attendance report. And each time, if they come in and they're showing me that they've got, so many unexcused or so many excused absences, we have a discussion. Every time that this has happened so far, obviously I've only been here, seems like forever, but it's like 7 months. Every time that this has happened so far, they come and they bring their attendance reports and it's looking good. So I think that the hands-on, somebody hanging over them, because if parents aren't, wouldn't you just stay home and sleep and watch TV all day if you didn't have to go to school? We all would do that.
Oh, yeah. And the thing that got me is like, during COVID, parents still went to work. And you can bet
Uh-huh.
that kids are, they're home and, virtually. Well,
Yeah,
no, they're not.
yeah.
Okay, good information. Let's move along.
Yeah.
I'd really like,
All right.
no, I just, for the sake of everybody, I try to keep the meetings to 1 hour just because, I know everybody has tight schedules. So, anything else as far as Health and Human Services, Julia, that you'd like to report?
Joyce sent a substance misuse campaign report out. Actually, interestingly enough, the work that we've been doing in Sawyer County has been getting hold into some other counties that are close to us. And Ashland County actually asked for the presentation that is being put together that we've done for the schools and Ashland, and they presented at Ashland School as well, at the middle school, high school, and in the community. And they actually had 3,200 in attendance for that. So, yeah, so people are taking note. We've actually had other counties reach out to us and ask us about our billboards and our campaign and how we're doing things. So things are getting noted out there. Narcan distribution is up to 205. As far as training goes, we've had 520 in person and 171 online. Some of the other work that we're waiting on is School Pulse, which is a text messaging back and forth thing with the kids. It's called School Pulse. It's one of the things we approved with the opioid funding. Winter School and LCO have gotten onboarded with that and are seeing some really good results, and we're working with Hayward School to onboard that as well. And then we are doing some advertising for the recovery coach. And that's been also put on the tablets for the inmates so that they can reach out and connect as well. Is there any other news? I think that covers us for the most part. Oh, we've received a call from Senator Baldwin's office acknowledging the fentanyl work that we've been doing in our county. So, good, all positive things.
Sounds
I think
great.
that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on, Grant, you have any updates, community updates? I know you were redoing, Reflections was being,
Yeah, they've actually got some really good news. The new roof got put on and actually everything was donated. The labor and all the materials for that, they're getting new paint and everything like that. They just came in. We're working on getting them set up with some new beds. So things seem to be kind of going in a positive direction over there right now. I know they're working on a couple of new board members and things along those lines as well. House of Hope is looking for a couple of new guys to come in. They have, I think, 4 applications that they're really looking at, but again, only 2 open spots at the moment. 2 guys have moved forward and seem to be doing well in the community. On the Safe Place Warming House, I actually have a fundraising meeting right after this. Should hopefully be seeing some collection bins. We're looking at doing it's kind of like a shoe drive where we get paid for people just drop in their, extra shoes or slightly used shoes, or instead of just leaving them in the closet and all that, we have a place where we can send them and we actually get money and funding. But we also figured it'd be kind of a good way of also getting our name out there in the community and let a little more awareness on it. And, big thing there is, yeah, we need funding just to kind of get things going, but slowly but surely we were making progress on that one as well. Yep.
go ahead, Judge.
Grant, I have a quick question. We have one of our participants who just is going to treatment. He's in the Healing to Wellness Court and is homeless and probably will have a 30-day stay. Should he do the application now?
Yeah,
Or-
the sooner you can do it. And then, cause they can, if he has a 30-day stay and stuff like that, we have guys that can come in and visit with them and talk with them and, meet with them right then and there and things like that. So kind of get him going on the right way and if it'll be a good fit for him and also it gets him in contact with someone right away too.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Grant, what's going on with the Mr. Burmeister's building? Anything?
Don't know. As far as I know, nothing now. Kind of one of the things that happens, you get good news and get a little too excited too quickly. But still working on trying to find a good place for like the phase 3 for House of Hope. Because a lot of these guys, it is tough to, you got a job, but doesn't necessarily mean you have a savings for, your security deposit and all that kind of stuff right away. So finding something that would work better for these guys to transition into where they have the responsibilities of some bills and stuff like that. But I mean, can't find anywhere to rent in this town, no matter who you are. And if you do find it, it's not cheap. So keep looking.
Okay.
Anything else?
Anyone else? No. Thank you very much, Grant. Appreciate it. I don't know if Becky, do you know where I think she had a call. So, we'll have her report next month. Future agenda items. We have a couple things. Right. For next month, right? Anybody else have anything they'd like to see on the agenda? And we'll have the memorandum of understanding, hopefully, at least a draft or something put together for next month too. Oh, and let's put on their meeting time and day. And maybe if you could send an email out to everybody just to kind of solicit what would be a good time or a good day for them. Because we do know it's a problem with the court, because I think you guys have court on Wednesdays, is that correct?
Yeah.
Not always, okay, all right, yeah.
But I mean, the lunch hour.
It works for you. Bruce, obviously, you've been coming, so I hope it's working for you. Then,
I just have a question. Do you want to do that this month or wait till after elections when things?
maybe that's a good idea.
People-
Maybe we just leave it alone for, yeah, and then after elections, whoever's here can decide what they want to do. That'd be perfect. Okay, all right, if that's it, then,
You're gonna set another meeting date or not?
yeah, we need to set another meeting date, so I guess we'll stick with what we have for now. Correct. Yep. Okay, I guess if that's it, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody, very much.